What if I told you that your brain has a built-in Bluetooth feature? No cap. I'm not talking about some sci-fi, Elon Musk Neuralink stuff. I'm talking about a biological, literal wireless connection that allows one human being to completely hijack the brainwaves of another person just by opening their mouth. If I tell you a deeply engaging story right now, and we hook both of our heads up to an fMRI machine, our brain waves will literally sync up. My brain activity will dictate exactly what your brain activity does, millisecond by millisecond. Your neurons will fire in the exact same patterns as mine. I am literally taking the steering wheel of your consciousness. This isn't a theory, it's hard science. But why? Why does the human brain completely glitch out and surrender its autonomy the second someone says, "Listen to what happened to me today"? Today, we are diving deep into the absolute most unhinged superpower of the human mind. We're going to look at the neurochemical cocktail that makes you binge a Netflix series until 4 a.m. when you are completely cooked for work the next day. We're talking about weaponized empathy, evolutionary survival hacks, and why having Riz in storytelling is the single most dangerous skill a human can possess. Buckle up, your brain is about to get exposed.
Hey, welcome back to MindSpark, the place where curiosity comes alive. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered what would happen if things suddenly changed instantly? Stick with me, because the answer is way more shocking than you think.
Welcome back to MindSpark, the only channel that lives rent-free in your frontal lobe. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because we drop mind-bending science and universe-breaking facts every single week. Look, we all know that one person who has infinite aura. You know who I'm talking about. They walk into a room, start telling a story about literally going to the grocery store, and somehow, the entire room is dead silent, hanging onto every word. They are the main character. Meanwhile, you try to tell a story about surviving a literal skydiving accident, and people are checking their phones halfway through. Why? What is the actual difference? For the longest time, science just thought storytelling was an art, a vibe. But neuroscientists recently looked under the hood, and what they found is straight-up terrifying. Storytelling is a biological hack. It's a drug drop. When you hear a good story, your brain is flooded with a highly specific, highly addictive cocktail of chemicals that alters your heart rate, changes your breathing, and rewires your beliefs. If you understand how this works, you understand how the world is run. Politicians, massive brands, cult leaders, they all use this exact science to manipulate you. So, let's let the neuroscientists cook. Let's break down exactly why your brain is addicted to stories. To understand why we are like this, we have to travel back about 100,000 years. Imagine you are a caveman. Let's call you Grug. Grug has zero technology, zero armor, and the wilderness outside his cave is packed with predators that have massive negative aura. Everything wants to eat Grug. Back then, if you wanted to learn that the giant furry tiger with the massive teeth was dangerous, you usually had to find out the hard way. Meaning, you got packed up. You were lunch. But then, human language evolved, and the brain developed a cheat code: the story. Evolution realized that learning by trial and error is a terrible strategy when the error means death. So, the brain evolved to use stories as the ultimate virtual reality simulator. When the tribe elder sat by the fire and said, "Do not go near the dark river because the water beast pulled Thag under," your brain didn't just hear words. Your brain simulated the entire event. It visualized the river. It imagined the beast. It felt the terror Thag felt. Your brain ran a full-scale VR simulation of getting eaten, so that you wouldn't actually have to get eaten. If you didn't pay attention to the story, you were cooked. Literally. Because of this, Mother Nature hardwired a reward system into our DNA. She said, "I need these humans to pay absolute, undivided attention whenever a story is being told." So, she attached storytelling directly to our dopamine receptors. When you hear a narrative, your brain thinks it's downloading critical survival data. That is why you physically cannot look away from a good movie. Your primitive monkey brain thinks, "Bro, pay attention. We might need to know how to defeat Thanos in case he pulls up to our cave." The simulation theory is valid. You are running endless survival simulations every time you open a book or watch an anime. Okay, so it's an evolutionary survival tool. but how does it actually hijack you in the moment? Let me introduce you to the angel's cocktail. When a master storyteller is talking, they are basically a pharmacist dispensing 3 highly potent drugs directly into your bloodstream. Let's look at the ingredients. First up, cortisol, the stress hormone. Have you ever watched a thriller movie and the main character is hiding in a closet while the killer is walking around the room? Your palms are sweating, your heart is beating out of your chest. You are sitting safely on your couch eating Takis, but your body is prepping for war. Why? Because the storyteller introduced conflict, tension. Without conflict, a story is just a list of events and your brain ghosts it immediately. I woke up, I ate eggs, I went to work. Yawn, zero aura. But if I say, I woke up, there was a strange man standing at the foot of my bed holding my car keys, boom. Cortisol spike. Your brain goes into high alert. Cortisol hyperfocuses your attention. It traps you in the present moment. Next, we drop in the blue flask, oxytocin, the love and bonding chemical. This is what mothers release when they look at their babies. You know when you watch a movie and a fictional character loses their dog and you are literally sobbing into your pillow, you are crying over pixels on a screen. The dog isn't real. The person isn't real, but your brain doesn't care. When a storyteller develops a character that we relate to, our brains pump out oxytocin. It forces us to care. It lowers our defenses and makes us feel a deep, unshakable connection to the person. If you can trigger oxytocin in your audience, they will trust you with their lives. And finally, the heavy hitter. Dopamine, the climax, the resolution. Dopamine is the chemical of desire and reward. It's what makes you infinitely scroll TikTok. In storytelling, dopamine is released when a mystery is solved, when the hero finally defeats the villain, or when the cliffhanger is resolved. Storytellers weaponize this by withholding information. I'm going to tell you the secret, but first, let me explain what happened on Tuesday. They edge your brain. They build the tension with cortisol, make you care with oxytocin, and then just when you can't take it anymore, they drop the punchline. Dopamine floods your system. You feel amazing, and immediately your brain says, "Give me another one." That is why you let the Netflix next episode timer hit 0. You are officially a neurochemical junkie. But wait, how does your brain actually feel what someone else is feeling? How does the oxytocin know when to drop? Enter the most mind-blowing piece of biological hardware you own: mirror neurons. Oof, look, just watching that probably made you suck air through your teeth. You probably grabbed your own knees or groaned out loud. Why? You didn't fall. You're fine. In the 1990s, scientists discovered a specific class of brain cells called mirror neurons. These neurons are unhinged. They fire both when you perform an action and when you observe someone else performing that action. If I grab a cup of coffee, a specific network of neurons in my brain lights up. If I sit perfectly still and watch you grab a cup of coffee, my brain fires those exact same neurons as if I was doing it myself. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between doing something and watching a story about someone doing something. When you hear a story about someone being embarrassed, your mirror neurons fire up your own embarrassment network. You feel their cringe. When you hear a story about a massive victory, you feel their triumph. This is why we get main character syndrome. When you watch Batman, for those 2 hours, your mirror neurons are convincing your subconscious that you are vengeance. You are the knight. Mirror neurons are the biological foundation of empathy. Without them, stories would just be data. With them, stories are lived experiences. You aren't just hearing a story, you are physically living it inside your mind. All right, it is time to return to the hook. The Bluetooth brain sync. Let me introduce you to Dr. Yuri Hassan, a neuroscientist at Princeton who did a study that absolutely shook the scientific community. Dr. Hassan took a woman, put her inside an fMRI scanner, and told her to just tell an unrehearsed 15-minute story about her high school prom. A real, emotional, funny story. The fMRI recorded her brain activity, mapping exactly which areas lit up and when. Then, he took a group of listeners, put them in the same fMRI machines, and played the audio recording of the woman's story. What the scientists saw on the monitors made them drop their clipboards. The listeners' brains didn't just process the language. Their brain activity perfectly matched the speaker's brain activity. If the speaker's emotional cortex lit up at minute 3:05, the listener's emotional cortexes lit up at minute 3:05. The patterns were identical. Dr. Hassan called this neural coupling, but then it got even crazier. In the most engaged listeners, the ones who were completely hooked on the story, their brain waves actually started to anticipate the speaker's brain waves. The listeners' brains were lighting up a fraction of a second before the speaker even said the words. They were so synced into the narrative, they were predicting the future of the story. They had become one single neural network. This is the ultimate WRIZ. If you are a good storyteller, you are not just communicating. You are literally taking control of the physical architecture of your audience's brain. You are guiding their thoughts, forcing their emotions, and syncing their heartbeat to yours. If you try to persuade someone with facts, spreadsheets, and logic, their brain stays cold. Critical thinking areas light up, and they immediately start looking for flaws in your argument. But if you wrap your argument in a story, their critical thinking shuts down, they sync with you, they drop their armor. And that brings us to the dark side. Because once you realize that storytelling is a backdoor hacking tool into the human subconscious, you start to see the matrix. Who understands this science better than anyone? Marketers, politicians, and cult leaders. Think about Nike. Nike doesn't sell you shoes by showing you a spreadsheet of the rubber durability or the foam thickness. That's data. Data has zero aura. Instead, Nike shows you a story of a kid from the slums waking up at 4 a.m., running in the rain, failing, getting back up, and finally winning the championship. Cortisol from the struggle. Oxytocin from the relatable underdog character. Dopamine from the victory. Your brain syncs up. You feel the triumph. And then, at the absolute peak of your dopamine rush, they flash the swoosh on the screen. They just chemically linked the feeling of overcoming all odds directly to a $150 piece of foam and rubber. You don't buy the shoe. You buy the neurochemical hit of the story. Politicians do the exact same thing. They don't talk about policy nuances. They tell you a terrifying story about how the world is ending, cortisol, tell you that your specific group is the victim, oxytocin, and then promise that if you elect them, they will slay the dragon and save the day, dopamine. It is weaponized psychology. And it works every single time because we are still just cavemen sitting around a fire, absolutely desperate to know how to survive the tiger in the dark. So, how do you protect your aura from getting hacked? You wake up. You realize that every single piece of media you consume, every TikTok you scroll, every movie you watch, and every ad you see is actively trying to run a script in your brain. But it's also a superpower you can use. If you want to ace an interview, don't list your skills. Tell a story about a time you solved a massive problem. If you want to go on a date and not get ghosted, don't just read your resume over dinner. Craft a narrative. Use the angel's cocktail. Sync their brain to yours. Stories are the fabric of human reality. We are the only species on the planet that can invent things that don't exist, tell each other about them, and literally change the physical world because of it. I want to hear from you guys. What was the most mind-blowing part of this video? Are you terrified of mirror neurons, or are you about to go use the angel's cocktail to get a promotion? Drop a comment down below right now. I'll be in the replies reading them. If this video expanded your frontal lobe even a little bit, do me a favor and smash that like button and subscribe to MindSpark so you don't miss our next deep dive. We're dropping reality-breaking content every week, and you do not want to be left behind. Until next time, stay curious, protect your brain, and never stop questioning the simulation. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
If this video made you think even for a second, hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe to MindSpark for more mind-blowing ideas, and tell me in the comments what topic we should explore next. Until next time, keep your mind curious.